If you were still the CEO of Best Buy, trying to get TVs from China to Long Beach to Minneapolis or to wherever, what would you be doing, and what's your advice to other business leaders watching right now who are?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I would say Corey Barry, my amazing successor at Best Buy, is doing it, and she's leveraging, and Jim Cramer talked about it, she's leveraging the relationship that Best Buy has with the world's foremost tech companies to be able to get products on the shelves or online for customers. I think what we're seeing is that in a context where retailers have reported amazing earnings in the last 2 weeks, the ability of these retailers to manage powerful, flexible, agile supply chain is becoming a differentiator. With COVID moving around in Asia, the ability for some retailers to move sourcing from one country to the other, for example, in apparel, would be one of these characteristics. Fortunately, I think that I don't see it as
that's a multi-year endeavor, saying let's take a factory here and move it to Vietnam, to Hanoi, or wherever it may be. That takes a long time. I mean, right now, there's actually a record number of ships off the coast of Long Beach and Los Angeles. I think it was 44 ships sitting there waiting to come in. The docks are full. They're having trouble finding truckers. They're having trouble finding anybody in the supply chain as well, not just here, but in China as well, in part because of the COVID-related shutdowns. Do you think it's going to be a tough Christmas to find what people really want?
I think it's going to be there with us for the next several quarters, Brian. It's not going away immediately. I think eventually it goes away, of course, but the next few quarters are going to be tough. And again, the best retailers will be able to navigate this, but that's going to be, it's a real slog, believe me.
Yeah, it certainly is, Hubert. And you look at this and you think, okay, well, even when and if it gets better, has what we have seen happen, ports shut down, supply chains backlogged, trucking costs triple, is this going to be, and hopefully the pandemic will go away and we won't have another one for our lifetimes or our kids' lifetimes, but what long-term changes, maybe you address this in your book, would you be making besides diversification of supply chain?
Yeah, when you talk to supply chain leaders across companies, they have, as investors, being aware of the skills of these companies in this area is of course essential, and they have to deal with these challenges, short term and then longer term. I think to your point, it's indicating that the job of businesses these days is becoming increasingly more complex. Of course, you have to talk about the customer, but the customer doesn't seem to be the bottleneck anymore. It's the supply chain, it's the employees. I think we have to talk about this. The amount of fatigue we're seeing amongst employees, and the need for companies to re-recruit their employees is an essential element, showing that you care for them, that you're able to help them with their pain points, not just compensation, but benefits. And I think the best retailers are those who are able to embrace all of these stakeholders, which is, of course, something we talk about in the heart of business. And on that, Brian, I wanted to highlight one thing. 2 weeks ago was the 2-year anniversary of the BRT statement on corporate purpose. Remember when the Business Roundtable stated that it was no longer about shareholder primacy, finally. And there was a survey by Just Capital that I find very interesting. They ask Americans, to what extent they believe that large companies are doing their job in a way that really takes care of all Americans. And the percentage that says yes has gone from 45% 2 years ago to now 65%. So it's really a sea change. Now, at the same time, there's still 40% of us who believe that capitalism and business needs to evolve, which is a bigger number than 25% believing the status quo is good enough. So I think what we're seeing is a very exciting time in business where leaders are really evolving how they think about business, embracing all stakeholders, including the employees, including the supply chain, in a sort of declaration of interdependence, which is a new phenomenon.
And I think, Hubert, and by the way, when you took over the company, pretty much everybody thought Best Buy was going to be the next blockbuster video and be Amazoned and go away. You turned it around, certainly, and a lot of it had to do with your leadership as well as just the people in the stores. When you walked in and they smiled and greeted you and actually knew what they were talking about, I think in the future, humans are going to still matter a whole lot. Hubert Joly, former CEO of Best Buy, a pleasure to have you on, sir.